Hi guys, it seems Reform UK are now attempting to expand beyond their base of pensioners, with a number of senior people in the party or company reaching out to young people. Zia Yusuf, the chairman, spoke to Reform UK friendly GB News, where he claimed that the market can fix the housing problem, that immigration numbers coming down will free up accommodation and provide better paying jobs for young Brits, and Nigel Farage will make it so. Reform are good at taking facts and fiction and weaving them together into a narrative that sells pretty well.
And I'll say this also, if there are young people listening to this now, the ratio of salaries to house prices is 9 times today. The last time it was this high was in 1876.
And now he's completely correct here. The ratio of house price to wages is completely skewed against younger people in particular. Their wages have not increased in line with the price of housing. So it's extremely difficult for young people to get on the property ladder now. And he's completely correct here.
It's 150 years ago. And by the way, almost nobody owned homes, obviously, back at that point. That's why the numbers were so ridiculous. So we live in a world now where whether it's the Tories or Labour, they've been happy to explode the size of the population. No other party is willing to say, look, house prices are a function of supply and demand. Yeah. This is common sense. We live in Britain now where almost a third of our young adults live at home with their parents. Not only is buying a home totally out of reach, 41% of 18 to 34-year-olds say that they believe they have no chance of buying a home. Renting a home is now out of reach. Reform are very clear. Nigel is very clear. Housing is a function of supply and demand.
No. Not a function of supply and demand. To a certain extent, that's true. If you build more homes, well, the price of housing will drop and it'll make it more affordable. But he's missing a big problem here is the private sector. See, if you build a huge number of homes and a lot of those homes are bought up by, for example, private landlords or corporations that want to rent out those properties, then you're not, in a sense, creating sufficient supply. See, the housing market is not like the regular market. You increase supply, you reduce the cost. It doesn't work like that. There are landlords with 10, 20, 30 homes. They're not living in those homes, but they're renting them out. So what they're doing is they're taking away a supply. So they're reducing the supply in a sense that could be available for first-time buyers or people who want to live in those properties and not rent them out. So when he says we just need to rely on the market, he's missing the problem of renting.
Yes, we need to build a lot more homes, but we can never build enough homes to meet the demand from the ridiculously explosive growth in population size. So if you look at
So, of course, this is the angle that Reform UK go down. Well, the problem is immigration. Not that we're not building enough homes. You can build enough homes if there's a political will to do that. But what Reform UK want to sell is, no, the problem is immigration. If we bring down the numbers of people coming into the country, then we don't need to build as many homes. But there's still, even if you ended immigration tomorrow, there still wouldn't be enough homes.
The last 3 years, for example, we've had 2.5 million net new people arrive in the country, and we built 600,000 new homes under the Tories. And that was as good as we've done in about 4 decades. So the idea that just building more homes is going to be the answer without securing our borders and freezing migration for a number of years is like spraying a super...
Okay, then who's going to build these homes? So you're saying we need to build more homes, but we need to also stop immigration. But if you can't find the workers to build those homes, then who's going to build them? See, this is the problem with Reform UK. They take an issue like housing, which people understand there's a problem. They say there's a problem and everyone agrees with them. But their solution is, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the people we need to come in to build the homes that even if we had no immigration tomorrow, we would still need.
Basoko at a forest fire and expecting there to be a positive result. So we have to level the playing field for young people. That's what Reform are going to do. We're going to eliminate income tax below earnings for earnings below £20,000.
Now, this is actually a good idea. I agree with this. This is a good idea. Eliminate income tax for anyone below this threshold. You would give more money to young people. Now, depends on how much money we're talking about, depending on the salary of young people, because not everyone is earning 20,000. But yes, in a sense, you would give more money to ordinary people. But then how do you fund that? Because if you're giving money in one way, you're taking it from somewhere else. And of course, Reform UK's idea is a smaller government. So they would reduce the size of the state. They would cut public services. So young people may have a bit more cash in their pocket, but public services would be gutted.
That means if you're a young person going out to work for the first time, you're going to keep all of the money, and you absolutely should do that. You should.
Okay, but as you pointed out at the beginning, there's a massive difference between wages and house prices. So even if you were to eliminate income tax, young people still wouldn't be able to get on the property ladder because houses are still way more expensive than any amount of tax that they would be saving.
Not be competing, if you're a young person, with extraordinarily large numbers of people coming from abroad competing for those same jobs that you would be after if you're age 16 or you're age 18 .
Okay, so they keep coming back to this. Well, if we eliminate all the immigrants, get rid of them, stop them from coming in, eliminate immigration, I should say, then we can free up these jobs for young people. But these jobs are not being filled by young people in Britain. They're being filled by immigrants because young people don't want to do these jobs or they can't do these jobs. See, the Reform UK response to everything is to bring down immigration. But they don't understand, or maybe they do understand, the consequences of that.
You're just graduating from university. They'll sort out the university system so you're not going to be saddled and frankly crippled with enormous debts for, in many cases, sadly, university degrees that are of no use to you whatsoever in terms of the job market.
Okay, so you're going to tell people not to do certain types of degrees? I thought this was some sort of freedom party. They keep talking about how government is interfering in people's lives, and these guys say what we want to do is eliminate certain degrees. But who's going to determine whether the degree is useful or not?
Nigel Farage, as our Prime Minister, will make these changes. And that's one of my messages to young people. I know that how hard it is. The economy is absolutely rigged against you. It takes a politician of enormous courage, of enormous conviction, and of enormous intelligence to be able to solve these problems. And the only man who's going to do that is Nigel. And the good news is...
Okay, so Nigel Farage is the saviour. The same Nigel Farage who told people to vote against their interests in 2016. Who told people to vote for Boris Johnson in 2019. Farage and Reform are good at selling things. They don't have to be good things, but they're good at selling them. And what they do, as I say always, is they weave truth and fiction together and sell it as a package. And it's quite enticing to many people. You know, we saw in 2016, there's the NHS is on its knees. People are waiting ages for a doctor's appointment. You can't get a decent paying job. What we need to do is we need to leave the European Union. And now recently, the same again. Can't find a decent paying job. The NHS is on its knees. What we need to do is bring down immigration. And the only party that would do that truly is Reform UK. It's the panacea. It will resolve all problems, as was pointed out here. There's a housing crisis, bring down immigration. Can't find a decent paying job, bring down immigration. And unfortunately, no one's pushing back here. You know, he goes on GB News because he knows that he's not going to receive any pushback from GB News. Reform UK, their media wing seems to be GB News. Because you have people brought on, no difficult questions asked, no point being raised how you're going to afford to pay for any of these things. You know, what are the consequences of trying to bring down immigration? Haven't we seen the damage that's already done to universities, for example? So they're, once again, selling simple solutions to complex problems.